The catalog listed this Herculaneum scroll as unreadable. Virtual unwrapping says otherwise. Nearly 1.5 meters of intact text. For centuries, the only large library to survive intact from the ancient world sat completely unreadable. These scrolls came from a single villa near Herculaneum, buried in 79 AD, when Mount Vesuvius erupted and turned more than 1,800 papyrus rolls into lumps that look exactly like coal. The blast didn't burn the library away as it carbonized it, preserving the words while making them impossible to reach. Every time someone tried to physically unroll one, the relic crumbled to dust. So a team of computer scientists decided to attack the problem without ever touching the scrolls at all. So how do you read a scroll you're forbidden to open? The answer is a technique called virtual unwrapping. Researchers scan the sealed lump with high-resolution X-rays, then use software to trace every crumpled internal layer and digitally flatten it into a single readable sheet. For this breakthrough, the scans came from a particle accelerator and the European synchrotron in Grenoble, powerful enough to resolve the individual layers inside a carbonized roll without disturbing it. The University of Kentucky's Brent Seals spent more than 20 years developing this method, but mapping the shape was only half the battle, because the ink was about to become the real enemy. Here's the part that stumped everyone for years. The ancient ink is carbon-based, and so is the carbonized papyrus sitting right underneath it. To an X-ray, black ink on black char is essentially invisible. There's almost no density difference to detect, so the team trained machine learning models to catch that faint texture. And with over 1.8 million in prizes distributed, the software went from spotting single letters to reading whole passages. And once the machines could read one scroll, the floodgates started to open. The first proof it could work came in a global contest. In February 2024, 3 students split a $700,000 grand prize for recovering the first real passages from a sealed scroll. It started with college student Luke Ferreter, who pulled a single word out of the char. From there, Farator, Youssef Nader, and Julian Schilliger recovered more than 2,000 characters of text. It turned out to be a lost work by the Epicurean philosopher Philodemus, musing on whether scarcity actually makes pleasure sweeter. But that reading was just 5% of one scroll. The real test was reading a whole one. In June 2026, that test was passed. Researchers virtually unwrapped a scroll cataloged as P-Herc 1667, one that had been handed a readability score of 0 when part of it was opened decades ago. Overlapping layers had obscured the writing so badly that a few isolated letters were all anyone could see. Now researchers can follow its text as a sustained argument across multiple columns. Lead papyrologist Federica Nicolardi called it a transformational shift, and when scholars actually read what the scroll said, it raised a question nobody expected. Its final preserved column names Aristochrion, the nephew and pupil of Chrysippus, one of the most influential early Stoic thinkers. The evidence dates the work to the 2nd century BC. Almost none of Chrysippus's own writing survived antiquity, so recovering a philosophical voice this close to him is exactly why the next discoveries matter. And this was not a one-off reading. The same announcement confirmed more than 70 columns of text recovered from another scroll, held at Oxford's Bodleian Library. Titles, authors, and whole books are re-entering history. But the way all of this got funded is arguably as radical as the technology itself. The Vesuvius Challenge didn't hire a single lab. It offered cash to the whole world. Silicon Valley founders Nat Friedman and Daniel Gross helped launch an open contest in 2023 that released its data, code, and transcriptions to anyone who wanted them. It has since drawn 1,000 competing teams and handed out more than $1.8 million in prizes. The lesson here isn't really about Papyrus. A well-designed prize turned a centuries-old dead end into a global race, and it worked. But the biggest number in this whole story is the one still waiting to be read, because roughly 300 intact Herculaneum scrolls are still sealed, still unread, still waiting. The same AI that read a lump of coal could, in principle, begin unlocking all of them, and that turns a pile of ancient trash into the largest reading list in history. For 20 centuries, these voices were physically there but impossible to hear, and now a scan and a neural net are handing them back, one carbonized scroll at a time. Stay patched.